Hello, everyone. Here we are with our Density of Unknown Solids lab, and we're going to go through a little graphing tutorial. We want to make a column chart for our data. Now, the first thing I want to make sure you're doing is cleaning up this document a little bit. You see here that I have some data in this very first data table for our irregular solids. I want to make sure that our densities are going to be rounded to the 10th place. So in this particular case, I need to round this number from 8.85 to 8.9. I only want all of these to be rounded to the 10th place. And in this case, for this last one right here, that 3 doesn't affect the 7, so it's just going to be 2.7. And I'm going to do that for my regular solids as well. And you can see that these numbers are all unaligned. They're not in the center. So if you could go up to the top of the page and hit the center justification, it keeps the formatting all the same. Okay. So again, in object 1 for my regular solids, the 2.69 is going to be rounded to 2.7. Our 2.76 will be rounded to 2.8. And this one here would be rounded to 9.1. Now, you might be getting slightly different numbers based on how you read the instruments in the videos, so your numbers do not have to match mine, but they do need to be center justified in the cells, and they do need to have densities only, rounded to the 10th place. Okay, you should also have your type of metal filled in. I am not filling that in. So then here we go. You have now taken all of your densities and put them into this large data table down here, and again listed out the type of metal that each density would lead you to believe it is based on your research from a few classes ago. So I am going to highlight this column here and do Control C to copy it, and then open up the density of unknown solids graph spreadsheet that I shared with each of you today. And we're going to just copy those right down in here, Control V, and I don't know why it does that, it shifts the cells. So I'm just going to highlight them and boop, pull them up just like that. Okay, so now that you have your data in there, we're just going to highlight the section headings and all the data below it. Okay, and then we're going to go over here to our insert chart. Okay, so I'm going to highlight all of this data and go over to this insert chart icon and click on it. It's going to put you in the chart editor setup section, and I do not want a scatter chart, so if it doesn't come up with a column chart, we're going to select that. And so I'm going to select this column chart here. You can see that the densities are here on my X, and that's what I'm going to be using to compare, and that the cylinders and the other solids are on the bottom, and this is the object down here. And so that's exactly what we would like to see. You might need to make sure that you have your use row 4 headers as clicked on. So that's what is going to allow the words object and density show up, and using column A as labels. So that is going to look just like this. My goodness, my dog is loud. So once this is done, we can customize our graph. So come over here. Our chart style is just fine. It's exactly how we want it. If for some reason this density axes and this object axes did not show up, you could come here to change those titles. So first thing I'm going to do is change the chart title because I don't like that as a title. It's a little undescriptive. So this is going to be comparing density, proper English, density of objects. See, that's a much nicer title. And I'm going to capitalize that. Okay. If now excuse me, I'm happy with the title. I like to put a subtitle in. This is where you're going to put your name. And then again, if you didn't have like object here, if that didn't come across on the bottom when you were highlighting your data tables, you could type that in here. And so I could do change this if I wanted to say irregular or regular objects. I think this is fine. And if you needed to do the vertical axes so that you had the density all set up, if that didn't show up, you could type it in here. And I think I'm done with all of these chart titles. I don't really need to add anything to the series. I'm looking just at the comparison for the densities using this chart. I don't need a, excuse me, legend because we're just talking about these particular objects and they are set up all nicey-nicey. My axes look good. Grid lines. I could add some minor grid lines into the vertical axes. Let's see if I added just one in there. It just shows that in between 0 there would be 1 and then 2 and then 3 and then 4. And so if I wanted to add a little more definition into this and I added 3, that would give us a half, a whole, a half, and then 2. So that just gives you a little bit more definition. Remember, we only change minor grid lines. You leave the majors alone. And I could do, oops, if that should happen, click back on your graph, click the 3 dots and go back to edit chart, back to customize. And we were under grid lines. So if I wanted to add, excuse me, vertical grid lines, this is where you would find it. It's not going to allow us to, and that is totally fine. We don't really need them in this case. And so now we have a nice column chart to help us compare the densities. It becomes a little bit easier to see that the cylinder 3, cube 1, and the slab could possibly be the same substance, and that the cylinder 2 and sheet 3 could also be the same substance. And that cylinder 1 is far enough above all of the others to say that it is not made of any of the same substances. Now you could see that within the data set as well, but now we have a nice graph to show us, model the data for us. Okay, so I'm going to want to click on this graph just like this and go Control C because I want to put that into my density of solids document, and I'm going to put it right down here below my identification of solids data table, which I'm going to bump up a little bit. And Control V, I'm going to keep it linked to the spreadsheet and put that right in there. Once this is completed, we can then go about answering these questions. Please use really nice full sentence answers in answering your questions, please. And good luck. That'll finish this off for all of us. Have a fantastic vacation week. Bye-bye.